just listen to the old Pork Chop Express here now and take his advice on a dark and stormy night when the lightning's crashing and the thunder's rolling and the rain's...
Of the Rings of Wrenches! The Ballerina! Shockwave! The Madman Mark the Infinitely Tired! The Swooping! Mama Bear! Roll Tide, Keely, roll Tide, my brother! Showback TJC! Give it up for Nuanced Observer! Southern Viking! The man who hates Mexican Iron Man! Give it up for Shum! Olds Gamer 72 Cutlass! Iron Caster! What is up, my brother? Greetings, program! Gunbuddy! Damn straight, Chris. Damn straight. Greetings, one and all, and welcome to Mornings of Mischief. I'm your host, Stone Loki. Good morning, everybody. It is time for another Thirsty Thursday here on Mornings of Mischief, and I would like to welcome back Pops. What is up?
Good morning, Valhalla. Yes, let's do it, brother. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Good morning. Greetings, everybody. I hope you guys are having a great week. The week's almost over. We are 1 week from ValhallaCon. I am so excited. It's going to be so crazy, guys. Getting to meet so many people. Some of you for the first time. Some of you getting to see you again. Absolutely excellent. I cannot wait. I'm so excited. It's going to be so great. So, but we're not here to talk about that this morning. We're here to talk about sequels. And my God, what happens with sequels? It seems like every time I turn around, there's either a sequel or a reimagining or something in the works that just gums up the whole mess. That includes what happened with beloved Star Wars. But that also includes shit that happened in the prequel trilogy, too. George Lucas was heard saying, he did an interview and he said, the Force is like Kung Fu. Not everybody can be a Kung Fu master. Sure, you can learn some of the moves. You can learn how to move on the ground. But it takes something special to become a true master. And that's what, Darth Vader and Obi-Wan and Luke were. Basically giving you the idea that, well, maybe there is something inside Han that could possibly one day, but he's like, no, it's all simple tricks and nonsense. There is no force. So he doesn't believe. He doesn't believe he can do any of it. So he can't. And then you get the whole
Metachlorians. We have metachlorians. We have organisms in our blood that gives us the force. And you're like, what? What?
What kind of crack he was taking that weekend when he wrote that down. Yeah. The backlash for all that was so massive. I'll never forget it. It was crazy.
So and Darth Arlene, I wish you could have been there too. You know, it's family though, and I completely understand. I totally understand. Arlena called me there and was like, Loki, I'm so sorry I can't come. I'm like, no, look, it's family. I understand that. Family comes first, guys. Family always comes first, no matter what happens. Family always comes first. That's the way it works. So,
Yeah, I wish I could be there too, brother. But I will be in the Orlando meetup for any of you who are going to make your way over to that. So feel free to.
God, man, you know what? I wish I could go to that. I really do. Yeah. I wish I could have made it. I got to do the Dallas meetup, and I'll probably do that again. I know there's a Houston meetup, so I plan on doing at least 3 meetups next year. I want to do the Houston meetup, the Dallas meetup, and I want to go to Vegas.
Well, we have a Pops private meetup that we're going to do next year too. That's gonna
nice.
Yeah, that's got to count, right, buddy? We got to.
That's right. You got to do it.
Hopefully, you get to meet Mrs. Pops.
So I was sitting here last night and I was reading this article over on Bounding into Comics about aliens. This is what kind of got me off on this whole thing. Was everything they did wrong after Alien, and there are some things that aliens did wrong. If you've seen and this is straight from Bounding, this is what they said. And I was like, you know what? This makes sense, because how can you question that movie? How can you question Aliens? How can you say Aliens did anything wrong? Fox cutting it. Fox being like, no, it has to be at 2 hours. It can't be more than 2 hours. We're never going to go over 2 hours with a movie. Have you seen the Lord of the Rings movies? Everybody loved those, and everybody went and saw those multiple times. What they cut was really good. It was really good stuff. And it's like, how do you get that on the cutting room floor and go, nope, cut this, cut the auto guns. That's one of the coolest parts of the movie is the auto guns taking out the aliens. Man, they're wall to wall in there. And you're just like, dude, that's one of the coolest little parts of the movie. And you cut it. Why did you cut it? Well, we got to keep it under 2 hours. Idiots at Fox. Ladies and gentlemen, the idiotic decisions at Fox is one of the worst cinematic problems in history, is the idiotic suits over at Fox.
Well, we don't want to throw Fox under the bus alone. We can drive over all of them because this is what they do. And history has rewritten what audiences will digest. Obviously, now in the age that we're in now, people can handle, the equivalent of like a 6-part TV show is nothing more than a glorified 6-hour movie. Whereas, during that era when, Aliens came out, Terminator 2 came out, there was sort of like some formulas and some rules and whatever. And if you saw a movie that was like over 2 hours during that time, it was kind of like a head turning a little bit. Like, why is it over 2 hours long? That seems awfully long. And there was a place for epics. There was a place for some of the historical films and things like that. But they had this formula, and I think history's changed it now. What I really am frustrated is they don't find ways to capitalize that on make money by, putting that, 2.5 to 3 hour cut in the theater and let us all go revisit Aliens in the theater together with a bunch of new cool stuff recut. And they don't seem interested in doing some of those things that would seem like easy money grabs on their IPs. They just constantly always want to reboot and revamp and revisit it. It's just, it doesn't always live up to expectations, shall we say.
So Alien, and I think it was Ironcaster, that brought this up. Alien was a horror slasher suspense movie. It was with sci-fi. I mean, it was
horror sci-fi would be the appropriate designation.
Claustrophobic truckers in space. It's been called all these names, and then you get Aliens, which is like a tonal shift, and that's one of the things that agreed Ironcaster that people argue over, and it's one of those movies that it's like, wow, it stands apart from the original. It doesn't try and outdo anything. It's its own movie with the surviving character and the enemy of the first. But even the enemy is expanded to the point that it's like, wow, the alien queen, how they do their thing. It stands apart, and I think Cameron is the high point because Cameron did the same thing with Terminator. First Terminator movie, you've got this machine that doesn't care about anything. It only cares about its target and killing its target. And it's coming after Sarah Connor, and it will not stop unless they blow the shit out of it and kill it. Second movie, you've got an even bigger enemy in the liquid shape shifting T-1000. But Arnold's there too, and Arnold's like, I've been sent back to protect you. I've been reprogrammed by you to do whatever you tell me to do and follow your orders. And it's a different kind of movie.
And they didn't ruin that juxtaposition that Arnold was the savior, not the enemy. So in all of the trailers and stuff, it wasn't ruined like their most recent iteration where everything was ruined on screen before you even got there. So no, Cameron hit the home run. And many times they can, but reality is a lot of times they're just too busy trying to outthink themselves. So, yeah.
Yes, I agree with that. MB Geek, let's talk with $5 super chat. Ripley having a child who died while she was asleep added so much weight to her protection of Newt. The movie lacks without having that scene in it. I completely agree. Yeah. Everything they cut out had weight to it and had a point to it and helped the movie. But when the executives are like, this is what we are going to do, there is no ifs, ands, buts about it. What do you do? When you're like, well, we've got to cut some of this out.
I think the film can work without that subplot. And it's just like and you do feel trapped by this, right? Because you can have test audiences, responses, and things like that. And I hate defending studios, but I'm defending studios in a film that was released in the 80s and the 90s. I'm not defending studios and a lot of their decisions today because it doesn't always work. Like you and I were discussing on Tuesday, we were discussing Evil Dead versus Evil Dead 2 versus Army of Darkness, and one of the things that's fascinating is the tonal difference, massive tonal differences in these films. This progression of extreme low budget horror innovation into more comedic horror, and then almost like comedy, adventure, and action, and horror is kind of displaced as like a smaller ingredient, and it works mostly because the key components are constant. Like everyone had the right kind of buy-in and the right kind of commitment to it. So yeah, we have good examples of when it works. It's just you have to dig a little bit.
If any of you all want to read that Alien article over on Bounding New Comics, the link is in the chat. I can't argue with almost anything Cameron did at the beginning and the middle of his career. It's like I'm not an Avatar fan. I watched Avatar and I was like, I don't understand. But I did the same thing with Titanic. I was going in for a job interview when Titanic came out, and I had like 4 hours till my interview. I had nothing to do. I went in, I sat down, I had popcorn, snacks. I fell asleep. I woke back up. The ship had just started to sink. I got a sandwich. I came back. I ate my sandwich. I fell back asleep. I woke back up and the ship was still fucking sinking. It was like, what the hell am I watching? Hey, there's no room on this giant board for you. So go drown, bitch. And it was like, wow, that's the movie. Great. What a great movie. Nice. Thanks, Cameron. I just wasted my time and my money watching this shit. And Avatar was a little more than that, but still, it's like.
Well, I'd go back to Abyss. I didn't like Abyss. When Abyss came out in '89, after doing some of the stuff he'd already done, I was massively disappointed with Abyss because of him and his name on it. If it had been just another generic sci-fi adventure type film, I probably would have been a little bit more fair to my thought on it. And I really haven't revisited the film in a long
You got to watch the extended version.
Yeah, there is one. Yeah.
Okay, you got to watch. I don't know if you've ever watched the extended version or not. It makes so much more sense.
Sure.
Because it's like he actually has a discussion with the aliens. It's not just like, oh, thank you for saving my life, and he gives them a thumbs up. No, he's got to convince them that humans are worth not killing because they're going to kill everybody on the planet. They're just going to wipe everybody out on the planet and start over. And he's like, no, you don't understand us. And he's like, we have this capacity for good in us while we also have this bad capacity. You're right about that. there's also, and it's like that saves so much of that movie where he's got to convince these aliens, please don't kill us all, because some of us are morons, but there are some good people out there too that you're gonna kill. So please don't do it. And the big thank you to Big Raj for that $2 Canadian super sticker. Thank you, brother. It's a thumbs up. Thank you so very much for that.
Yes, awesome. I think it shows why he wants so much control of his Avatar franchise. He's like, I don't trust these people for nothing. And and I agree with you. My issue with Avatar was just the ending was just so bad. I was like, what is happening? Like, this is I couldn't understand the hype. I got the visuals and I had a good time and it was innovative and it was whatever. But at some point, I'm like, this is freaking like Pocahontas type stuff. This is terrible. Like, what is happening? And there's those people that do those little animations, how it should have ended to movies. Their little nuance on Avatar was pretty much what was happening in my head of like, this movie is terrible. Like, what is going on?
Well, there was
control of everything.
There was like a couple of years where everybody had to remake Dances with Wolves, and that's what I kind of feel like happened. You had Avatar, you had Dances with Samurais, which was Last Samurai. You had a couple of those come out right around the same time. And it was like, why are you guys trying to remake Dances with Wolves? I don't get it. Oh, well, we're going to do Dances with Wolves, but we're going to do it in Japan. And we're going to do it on this alien planet. And that's all it was. It was just a retelling of another thing. And I dislike that. I really do. I dislike that. I thought that Cameron was always good with, well, I'm either gonna continue this story because he did Terminator. So Terminator and Terminator 2 were two of his big breakout movies. Mm-hmm. Aliens didn't start with him. He got assigned that by Fox. He was like, I want to make this movie. I really do. And they were like, well, we don't have a lot of faith in this guy. And then they were like, you know what, go ahead. And he fought tooth and nail for the Alien Queen, for all kinds of stuff in the movie that he ended up getting, but they still cut his movie down. But like Terminator 2, that came after that. And it was because he'd proven himself as a filmmaker with Terminator and Alien. But Alien wasn't his. It was Ridley Scott's. And Ridley Scott had I still don't know what happened with Prometheus and Alien Covenant. I really don't. There are things that we don't need to know. There's information that we don't need to know. For everybody out there. Oh my God, I want to see where the aliens came from. No.
I know.
That's part of the mystery. That's part of like where, you always know.
No. Oh my God, a little robotic guy named David created the aliens.
But that's the era, right, where they had these IPs. They didn't know exactly what to do yet. There were some reboots and things that were happening, but a lot of them were they basically had these pitch meetings, I'm sure, like, what are we going to do? What can we do? We could do an origin story. And I could see them buying that. And that's kind of how that stuff gets birthed, I'm certain. So,
and there's nothing wrong with liking those movies, Shellback. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, it's fine.
I know people that like Terminator 3. I think Terminator 3 is the biggest hot piece of garbage there is. I hated Terminator 3.
And I think there's a place for, with a sequel sometimes, I was talking about that before the show, is the originals can cast such a big shadow and a big legacy that even decent sequels just don't get the attention and stuff they need. So.
And that's true. I thought Terminator Salvation was a decent enough movie. Was it what I wanted? No, but it was a decent enough movie set in the future. I'd waited forever to see a Terminator movie set in the future. And I got one, and it wasn't exactly what I wanted, but the director's cut was better. Again, I don't know why they do this. The director's cut was better than the theatrical.
Formulas, focus groups, producers.
Yeah. The same as an origin of Yoda. No, dear God, no. Absolutely, Joker.
Yeah, he's spot on. They definitely have talked about that more than once.
Gesture of Redneck. Gesture of Sin, Gesture of Redneck. Nice to meet you, Gesture of Redneck.
Hey, Gesture of Redneck.
Good morning, Valhalla. Good morning.
Awesome.
Despise Rey Palpatine Skywalker. Yeah, I wouldn't even call her Skywalker. I'm Rey. Well, I just want to find my place in all of this. Yeah, I hate her.
I really feel bad for Daisy Ridley, who got herself into a mess. She
I
really got
do.
the shaft too, man. She signed up for a pretty good gig. They probably pitched her a certain type of story or a framework of one. Then JJ bails out, and she's kind of left with this mess, and she's forever stigmatized. And I kind of feel bad for her.
Well, they did the same thing with Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill had the
True.
exact same thing happen to him.
Yeah.
Okay, so since this got brought up, there is a interview with Daisy Ridley and what's his name? The guy who played Finn.
Boyega. John
Boyega.
Yeah.
Okay. Where they're like, we got Star Wars, and they are excited, and they're jumping up and down. I get to be in Star Wars, right? And then you go to the last movie, the very last movie they do, and they're like, what's it like being part of Star Wars? And both of them look down before they say anything. They look down, and they've got like this like look on their face, and then they look back up and they try and smile, and they're like, oh, it's been great. And you're like,
yeah, it was. 'Cause I remember covering the original. You remember there was like this black and white photo where they had gotten the whole cast together in this like giant open living area. They were gonna have this script read, so you had the OG characters and the new characters, and there was still like a lot of speculation on who so many people were playing and all that.
That was at Harrison Ford's house. That's actually Harrison Ford's house. Yeah.
At the ranch, right?
Yeah.
And this massive excitement was brewing or whatever. And even with Force Awakens, and I was like, I'm going along for the ride, and the Harrison death scene, all that kind of stuff. But as you started to progress through it, it was just like an emotional abuse situation with the way you were going through what they were doing to fans and the cast. Like I said, if you were hired for a job and this is what they said you were going to do, you can hear the pushback, and they would just be like, you're under contract. You're under contract. You could just feel that in the air with how that stuff happened. So yeah. Studio manipulation, studio rules, focus groups, all this stuff kind of messes up a lot of projects. That's why I said we're in an era now, especially with streaming. There seems like there's so much money that can be made off director cuts, and Criterion editions and things like this have proven themselves to be worthy and can find an audience. That's for sure.
And well, they told Daisy in the very first movie.
Yeah.
J.J. Abrams like, you want to know a secret about Rey? And she was like, ooh, tell me. And he's like, you're Obi-Wan's daughter.
Obi-Wan's daughter, yeah.
Or granddaughter. And she was like, oh my God, that's unbelievable, and then that's not what happened.
They couldn't do it. They trapped themselves into a mess is what they did. So when you look at sequels, is it tricky figuring out like how to be fair to like an original versus the second one, like Batman Begins versus like Dark Knight, right? Forget about the third one for a minute. let's just forget that even exists, right? But let's just like one. It's like they're really not alike, right?
No.
Batman Begins is this like industrial interpretation of if Batman could be a real guy, this is one approach to doing it. Whereas Dark Knight becomes like the showcasing of the most insane, maniacal villain in the rogue gallery. And I'm like, it's unfair to almost compare them. Similar, I'm using a different example than what we talked earlier about like Alien and Aliens. It's like it's almost like I know they're technically those are even closer related in genre than let's say Alien versus Aliens. It's hard to give. Poor Batman Begins. He doesn't get a fair shake, man. That film just doesn't get a fair shake in hindsight, really.
Well, and one of the things that didn't work, and I don't know if this is Bale, I don't know if this was Nolan, I don't know whose fault this is. The Bruce Wayne that Bale plays in each movie is a different character.
Yeah.
The Bruce Wayne in Batman Begins is not the Bruce Wayne that is in Dark Knight, and it is not the Bruce Wayne that's in Rises. And I think part of that is they had a different plan. When this started, they had a different plan.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it was supposed to be Superman coming for Batman. Your Batman versus Superman that you got with Snyder, that was supposed to be at the end of this trilogy and introduce Superman to that universe.
Right.
And you didn't get that. And they tried to keep elements of that story, like the nuclear bomb being routed on trucks. Superman would know what truck it was because it would have been lead line. So there's nothing he can do. You got multiple trucks running around the city that's got a nuke on it. You don't know which one. You attack the wrong one, and guess what? The nuke goes off. So you've got these elements that they kept in the story that suddenly don't make sense because you have taken another element out of the movie and you've tried to rewrite it with these other elements, and it just doesn't flow together. I know you said don't bring up 3, but I'm just saying the Bruce Wayne, Bruce Wayne in each movie is different.
Well, and I think that the biggest problem with the Bruce Wayne character, and the comic books have done this over and over again, and it just drives me nuts as being a big Batman fan, is everyone is just so eager to get him falling in love and not wanting to be Batman. It's like they completely get the premise wrong. And I'm with you, Mark. I love Batman Begins. I have such a good time with it. But like I said, they just get it all wrong. Oh my gosh, here we go.
Joker voice, not to brag, but Dark Knight along with Joker, the only comic book movies to win a major Oscar award. He dusts off his shoulder. Just saying.
Yes, but Logan got nominated for Best Picture. So good luck with that argument. Because
Snowdub, what is up, brother? Guys, if you haven't subscribed to Snowdub's channel, go over there right now. Hit that subscribe and ring that bell. It's one of the best shows on YouTube. He says James Cameron hasn't made a great movie since the 90s. I've given up on him. I'm right there with you. I completely agree with you.
I would love to, because Cameron is such a, well, first off, if you haven't ever seen interviews with Cameron, he's at that point now where he has like, go F yourself money. Like he doesn't care, but he worked in that 2000s for Disney. So getting something done through the Disney machine and Cameron is like at odds. And when this Fox deal went down, I guarantee this was one of the biggest sticking points in the whole thing, was how much money had already been spent on Avatar and what are they going to do with it? And he was like, don't even let those people in the room with me. I guarantee this guy is not having it. So I'm not trying to defend him because I hate those movies too. Or what's one of them called? Like Ghost of Abyss or something? Shadow tell us, right? I was like, what is this garbage? One's also has aliens in the title. The Deep. Something about the Deep. You guys will figure it out. You guys will know. One's a documentary or something. Disney was involved with this stuff. And I'm just like, I don't understand. He's just, I think it led into his obsession with filming underwater and some of those kinds of things. But yeah, it's like a side journey.
Leia, beautiful Leia. Heroes are meant to be the defenders of the people. With great power comes great responsibility.
Absolutely. Got to give it credit.
We were talking last night on the round table about the fact that apparently Batman and Superman are now fascists. And my response to that was, how can Batman, who spends millions of dollars every year defending the people of Gotham for free, and he takes like no credit. He's not out there getting the key to the city. He's not out there doing that. That's not his thing, not his bag, baby. How can Batman be a fascist when he does all that for free and takes zero credit and half the time is hunted by the police? How can he be a fascist?
I think I responded in your chat when that happened. I said, these people don't know what fascism means.
Yeah.
We see this all the time with the way they use terms. And I was talking about this with last night. We were talking about Andor. I says, they don't realize that they're the empire on most of these things. They write these stories and they think they're the good guys. And you realize, like, you guys do realize you're talking about you and not who you think you're talking about. Like, that's not actually what's happening here. Yeah. I am getting less bent out of shape by those stories because I just know how stupid they all are, just to be positive.
Imagine Liam Neeson coming back in 3 and Talia kind of fighting with herself because she wants Bruce, but she wants to do what Daddy says. And she's got kind of like a back and forth with her conscience. But Liam Neeson comes back as Roz, and he's the one who set all this up. It's a lot more believable than what we got.
Yeah, well, Bane wasn't done right in a lot of ways.
No.
And it just that whole thing. Like I
said.
The
darkness bore me. I'm talking the Russian accent.
Has Tom Hardy finally escaped the my face is always covered up phase of his career? Like, we have finally moved on now where he doesn't have to wear a mask to have an interesting role. I hope
I guess I just, go back and look at him in Star Trek Nemesis, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Look at that rail thin, skinny motherfucker, and then tell me that's Bane in Batman. I'd have been like, no, no, it's not. Not.
You know they roided that dude up, man. They that dude's
But then again, look at him in Venom. He's kind of swole in Venom. He's got his own thing going in Venom. But
no. I mean, they've buffed him up since he did the boxing or the wrestling movie was probably the one where it kind of turned the tide on his physique. But let me slightly change the topic, but blend it with something else we talked about before. So with the sequel thing, do you have like a guilty pleasure where you're like, widely this is not a well accepted sequel, but you really like it more than even the original?
Oh man, not more than, I wouldn't say probably more than the original.
Even though
I like Aliens, I like Aliens more than Alien.
That would count. Yeah, that's fair.
I do know that Terminator Salvation, the one in the future. I like that movie. I will watch that movie. I'd go and after this show, I'd go and watch that movie. Where a lot of people are like, "Oh my god, it's such trash." I'm like, well,
I didn't hate 3 as much as you do, because I enjoyed the fact that they did a practical shoot for that big crane scene where the Arnold stuntman is hanging off the back and flying around and all of that. I enjoyed the guns being hidden in the coffin, and there were so many elements I enjoyed. Now, I'm not saying it's a good movie or anything like that, but I don't hate it. It can just be on. Right? Compared to like Genesis and Dark Fate, I don't care if I ever accidentally turn them on. Like all it's going to do would make me change the channel faster if I had like FX on and it came on. So
Ironcaster likes Ghostbusters too more than
you're
the
out.
first.
You're fired. So you're dead to me. You can out. That's. Oh my gosh, you will have to defend that someday, my friend.
You know what's really funny
about that one?
And what's really, really funny? Okay, the firehouse.
Yeah.
In Ghostbusters.
Yes.
We saw that in Big Trouble in Little China.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I just saw that in an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer too.
They own it.
Keep
filming in it.
It's like, God, cool. Now that I've seen it, and it's the green, that runs along the sides of the walls that I'm immediately like home in on that. And I'm like, holy shit, there's those green running lines. Where the hell's the pole? Where's the pole?
Yep. There's the War Games tunnel scene with the military where they have that opening, and it's the same shot they used for Roger Rabbit, right? You know what I'm saying, with the tunnel when Roger Rabbit's going to go. So there's like these little things that once you see them, you can't unsee them, and you start to see them in other things. And yeah, it is, and it is also kind of like the negative. Okay, Vigo is pretty cool, but it doesn't make it better than the first. That's sacrilegious.
Oh, come on, my lord.
I know.
God help me.
Oh, Lord help me. And just the goo and stuff, the toaster. Oh my God, the toaster. Just so yeah, no, it is cool. But yeah.
Project Cambrian, I've seen the Ghostbusters Fire Hall in at least 6 different places other than Ghostbusters. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be the kind of thing you need help putting that video together, do a little video to talk about all the different, because that'd be a fun one to do. But
so what else do we got? We've talked about Terminator. We've talked about Aliens.
Yeah.
Die Hard. That's something that I wanted to bring up.
Oh, this is a tough one for me.
So I really like the first 2 movies. Okay. I like the third. It's not like, oh my God, I love it. But obviously nothing beats the original. So Correct. You've got Nakatomi Plaza. You've got them taking over the airport in the second movie. And then they got McClane running around New York in the third movie. So
that's what they miss me. I don't care for 3.
See, I like Samuel L. Jackson in 3. That's kind of what saved it for me. If it wasn't
I like him.
Zeus, God of Apollo and the father of Apollo, Mount Olympus, fire a lightning bolt up your ass, Zeus.
So I the one I have the most torn feelings on, I think this is where you're going to go, right, is Live Free or Die Hard, right? The one where
I don't even remember. I don't even remember anything after that. I know they did one where it was like a fire sale. They had one in Russia.
Yes.
I don't know what happened after that.
Well, that's the only ones. I saw the Fire Sales, the Live Free and Die Hard, and I love Timothy Olyphant as the villain in that one. And I actually like the premise of it. I just didn't like it as a Die Hard movie. Like, it just seemed like it was a really cool concept and a good film. It just didn't fit that John McClane's in that situation. Why people would listen to him? It just didn't work. The Russian one just derailed off the train. That turned into a mess. That movie was a freaking mess. So,
A Good Day to Die Hard was shit. McKinney draws. Daryl the Derelict says, to see the Dragon Slayer as Vigo's slave was hilarious. Yes, if you go back and watch the original Dragon Slayer movie, he is the apprentice of the wizard and ends up carrying the wizard around in a necklace the whole movie.
Yeah,
which I thought was kind of weird, but yeah.
Very, very good. Yeah, that was one for me. I think we talked before the show, like Rocky is a big one for me, where it's like, at least I didn't say Indiana 4. Well, Indiana 4 doesn't even exist. Can we just pretend that it doesn't happen?
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. You know, I've been avoiding buying a 4K set of Indiana Jones because they all come with Crystal Skull, and I don't want Crystal Skull. I just want the 3. I want the 3. That's it.
I love Last Crusade, but I am not going to be silly enough to try to pretend that it's better than Raiders. But it's so great. I love Last Crusade.
It's Sean Connery. Sean Connery being his father. It's like this whole dynamic of Indy you never saw, but once you see it, you know it's there. It's an undeniable part of his character that, you know, it belongs in a museum. It's this undeniable part that his dad is one of the reasons why he is the way he is, and he does what he does, because it's him proving that he is worthy of all of this, even if he doesn't see it like that. And that whole thing with Sean Connery is it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
And I know the effects get shoddy at times, but the pacing in that film is perfect. It's a really, really, really good, really tight script. It's really, really done well. I love Last Crusade. But I was going to bring up Rocky, because Rocky is kind of a tricky one, because I like many of the sequels. And again, it doesn't take away from the fact that I can honor the original one as being so great. And you were talking about how much you love the fourth one with the Russian.
I think the fourth movie is the best movie with Drago. I think the first movie is kind of slow. There's a lot of stuff in it, but it takes it. I think they should have had a little more fighting in like the middle of the movie. Have Rocky do like a practice bout or something where he gets his ass kicked. And where Mickey's like, you know, you're not ready for this fight, Rock. You're not taking it serious. Something in the middle to give you a little, you know, thing. And then he comes back and he fights his heart out. He gives it everything he's got. He fights his heart out. And the second movie is like, okay, so he's got money, but he lost, but he wants a rematch. And Apollo's like, I ain't fighting that fool again. I beat him once. And then he's like, nobody takes me seriously because they think I lost the fight. Again, it takes too long to get to what you want, which is Apollo Creed and Rocky kicking the shit out of each other. And you brought up this last night. At the end of 3, they go to have this fight. It's Apollo. We're going to have a rematch again. It's going to be Apollo Creed versus Rocky Balboa. And you see that one little hit shot where they go to hit each other, and that's it. And you're like, well, what happened to the fight?
Yep.
Oh, that's going to be at the beginning of the next movie. No, it's not.
No, it's not. I know. It again, I think it's more in vein with what you were saying about like Terminator 4, like Salvation, where it's like you enjoy it, blah blah blah. Oh, and so you can say farewell to Joker voice.
See you later, brother. Take care. Be excellent, brother. Have a great one. Thank you for hopping in.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I was just saying though, because I agree with Makini. Like, I just love everything about Mr. T, man. Clubber Lang is fantastic. So for me, and when it came out, Mr. T this was so freaking believable. Perfect casting. Everything was well done. It almost like took the major dip from 2 and then just brought me right back to where I was.
I agree with that. And I do. I completely agree with that. And of course, who doesn't like, you know, I'm going to run all over you, fool. I'm going to take you down. You ain't nothing. I even beat your mama. And you're like, damn,
This was hardcore, man. And I think with 4 for me, and I'll just be perfectly honest with 4 because I do like 4. I'm not going to disagree with you on that. I was kind of over a lot of the Soviet Russian spit stuff. It was so overdone at that point for me. Just living through it, was like, okay, I'm another Russia. Like we have to go there, another, and then the training sequences were a little too cliche and stuff. But it was. I mean, look, I still love the movie. Again, I'm trying to say I love giving those movies credit, even though the first one is,
I thought Drago was the worst opponent he had ever faced. Worst being the most dangerous, the hardest to beat.
Yeah, sure.
And that moment when Apollo's like, man, it's all good, man. I'm going to whoop up on this boy. And he goes over and he's like, doom. And Drago's gloves don't move. And I will break you. I was like, oh, shit. Oh, shit. This is going to be bad. And he kills him.
Yeah,
he kills his rival. He kills Rocky's rival.
Yep.
And
that,
you know
that
what?
was hardcore, man. That was hardcore. So,
and it was just, him out training in the snow. You want to talk about 80s montage? Mm-hmm. Him out training in the snow.
Yeah.
I just was like, yeah, he went back to being hardcore. He did all this technical stuff with Apollo to beat Clubber Lang. He did all this. You're swimming in the pool. You're doing the speed bag. You're going to be faster. You're going to be leaner. You're going to be this. And we're going to take all this technology and throw it at you. And then that's what he's fighting in 4.
Mm-hmm.
Drago's the one training in the $1 million training center and with all these electronics equipment. And Rocky's the one out there hauling a log behind him like a sled dog. He's got this tree behind him that he's hauling up a fucking mountain.
But like I said, this is proving my point. Like they all 4 deserve a lot more credit than they get. Oh, we're talking Highlander. Yeah, Mark brought up Highlander, and that's a sensitive topic because I can't do Highlander 2, man.
Welcome to the planet Zeist, brother.
No, just before you get there, just that we're gonna put the soot in the air to block the sun, and just like, how could this guy be this dumb? He's an immortal. He's been around for a minute. He's got I remember sitting there in the theater and just shaking my head like, what is happening? Am I in a Highlander movie? Then once you got to that stuff, I was like, oh, I can't. No, there's one Highlander movie.
No, that's right. There's one Highlander movie.
There's some TV stuff that was tolerable, but it was like, it's just not my thing. My wife's into it more than I am. She enjoyed it. Obviously, she thinks he's hot, so it is what it is.
Oh, we're talking about Duncan MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod.
Yeah. Well, Ironclasher is going to go best bad sequel. You mean best bad, or worst bad? Because that's wow.
The series wasn't bad. It was the movie.
Okay. It was different.
It was the 2 movies that came out after it that were like, yeah,
it was bad.
Why? Why did you go back to this like from another planet bullshit that you guys had in 2 when you went back and erased 2? You went back and erased 2 and rewrote it because we're from the planet Zeist, brother. We're going to use magic called the quickening. Oh, God help me know. How did Sean Connery survive doing that movie? Because I would have been like, okay, send me a script. They send me over a script. I read Planet Zeist. I throw the fucking script in the trash and I say no.
What did this guy? I'm looking at the director. Like, I'm trying to figure out how on earth this guy got the jobs after or whatever. I'm just like, oh gosh, he should just never have been allowed to do stuff again.
Yeah, Chris Persia. Worse still, Pops. If you remember, at the end of the original Highlander, he obtained the collective knowledge of the entire world.
Yeah, all immortals.
The world's smartest person, and he puts up a filter against the sun.
It's the dumbest. I just remember sitting there in the theater, and my friends were kind of looking at me funny, and I'm like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever. I mean, I'm really having a hard time understanding. What are you talking about? What on earth is happening? It's supposed to be this. I don't know. I was so turned off. I was just, yeah. Oh, by the way, the guy that did direct that Quickening movie was hired to do a Rambo movie, and then they got replaced. Yeah,
of course they did.
Yeah, he just basically just got a resume of just crap. Is basically what I see. A lot of music videos and stuff, though. That's how you paid the bills all that time. Yeah, look at that. Blue Ice. He did. I don't even. Some of these movies were so bad. Yeah, he became like a B movie director until he got Resident Evil Extinction in 2007. But he was just done. So.
Das Wolfen says Connery was probably contractually required to do Highlander 2. F that. I'd never work with that studio ever again. I'd be like, no, after that.
Yeah,
no.
He was probably on like a multi-film deal or something. That's usually how that crap worked back then.
Snowda brings up a really good series here. Okay, so let's talk Rambo for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
You've got that first movie that's more like a after Vietnam kind of drama.
PTSD film, basically, yeah.
This is what you get when you push veterans too far. This is what you get when you act like veterans are trash. How dare you treat an American veteran like they're fucking trash and escort them out of town because you don't want that veteran in your town? How dare you? You have no fucking right to do that. That's not the America that motherfucker was out there protecting in the first place. You've got the second movie where he's like, I'm going to go back and I'm going to rescue POWs that are still over there. Fantastic fucking movie. But it's completely different than the first movie. I'm not going to talk about Rambo 3 because, God, it's, hey, let's teach Al-Qaeda how to be Al-Qaeda. Let's give Al-Qaeda
so on the nose. It was so on the nose with what was happening in real life. So, I mean, I love the second one because it shows the evolution of him, right? He, the human being, wants to do something. He's got to have some sort of value, some sort of replace of this violent animal that's in him, this beast. The original Wolverine is living inside of Rambo, basically, right? This dude. Rambo 3 was more like just, they did it with the Soviet stuff. So why not do Afghanistan too, since we're fighting a proxy war in the Middle East? So that was literally just like a propaganda film, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Then
you've got the stuff that came after that.
Yeah. I didn't really get into those too much. So I'm not going to be able to offer much to this. So you'll be on your own.
So basically these missionaries are going into South America and they hire a boatman, a metal worker boatman who just happens to be John Rambo,
right,
to take them. And he's like, you don't want to go there. You don't want to go there. You don't want to know what they do to women there. You don't want to get caught there. And he's like, I'm not going to take you. And this woman that's part of their group, who's actually played by a semi-successful television actress. She played Darla in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. She played Dexter's wife in the first couple of seasons of Dexter. Who will become his wife. So she's kind of semi-known, whatever. She goes and convinces him to take them. We're missionaries. We're bringing the church, Bible, yada, yada, yada. This is our choice. Please take us. And he takes them. And then they get captured and tortured. Right. And, a whole bunch of them get killed. She gets put in a cage. And you don't want to know what happens to her over the course of half the movie. And he goes in with a team to get them out. He's going to take a team, this mercenary SEAL team is going to go in and get them out that their church has paid for. That makes sense. But he goes with them and he helps them and they're like, who the fuck is this guy? But it's a good movie and it is gory as shit. Burma. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. It's not South America. Thank you. It's Burma. It's in Asia. My bad.
He's just Highland or something, isn't he?
Who?
Where it takes place. Isn't it like he's a boatman in near Thailand or something when they pick up the story or whatever, and that's how he gets the job or something? I don't remember. I watched it a long time ago, but
it's gory as shit, and it's everything you'd expect from a Rambo movie.
Sure. And it was, then you got to make
better than 3. Better than 3. I wouldn't say it's better than 2.
3 was forced. Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's better than 2, and I wouldn't say it's better than 1. But if you just ignore that 3 ever happened, he's pretty much, like Snow said, he's pretty much where he was at the end of 2. So if you just ignore 3, like 3 never happened, then the one thing you do find out, though, is Troutman's dead. The guy that comes to see him about the people is former CIA, and he knew Troutman. So, and that was the guy who plays Red Foreman in that 70s show.
Oh, I love that guy.
Yeah. So he's kind of there and, Troutman's gone, yada, yada, yada. So
And I don't think I saw the last one, the Last Blood one, the one where it's like it centers around Mexico, right, or something. I think it's
yeah,
yeah.
yep.
I never
And
saw
that one was I don't know. There's some of it I like and a lot of it I don't. I love the end of the movie though. The end of the movie is worth watching because he pretty much it's like they go to his farm and they find this cellar, and when they go into the cellar, it's pretty much VC tunnels underneath his farm.
Right.
So he's pretty much dug VC tunnels throughout below his farm, and that's where they're trapped with him. So it's one of those y'all are in for it now.
You're in with
moments.
you're in with the monster. You're not. I'm not
Yeah.
in with you. You're in here with me. Yeah, I
Yes.
got it. Yeah, I just never watched it. It just was just the timing of it all. I just haven't seen it because it's relatively new, right? It's the last couple of years, right before
Yeah.
the pandemic or something. I think. Yeah.
Yep.
No, I think it's an interesting topic, and it is. We have to kind of like take them all on sort of like their own case by case thing to kind of figure out where the studio manipulation comes in, where the contracts were in place, different things like that, and some of them are the cash grabs. Like I was talking to you about Hellraiser. I did Hellraiser 1, Hellraiser 2 reviews, and it was a total cash grab. We didn't mean to make this much money on Hellraiser. Get it in production and get it now. And Clive Barker's, difficult with scripts. No, fine. We'll hire a different director. Let's keep it moving. And you can just tell it's just it's a lot of it's just kind of thrown together. It meanders a lot, and then they kill Pinhead. Like it's just like, what are you doing? You guys are morons. And it just goes to show, like, but again, in today's age, right? The greed has been replaced by message, and they're just now coming back around towards greed again. So we'll see. So
And that's something we brought up last night with the way the new system in Hollywood in the movie industry works.
Mm-hmm.
There used to be something called a Q score.
Yep.
And now that has turned into like a hybrid of what the Q score was, along with Twitter, Facebook, and other social media,
right,
where everything has to pass muster. You cannot use a actor or actress that is not ranked in this system. Directors have to have checkboxes. Movies, television shows have to have checkboxes. And the lesser known stuff is getting away with things that the top tier films can't, because it all has to work in the system to them. So they have to have these checkboxes. They have to hire these people that fill these checkboxes. And it's not about who's going to do the best job anymore. It's about who fills these checkboxes that we must check because this says we have to check these checkboxes.
Mm-hmm.
This new score says we have to check these checkboxes. If we don't check these checkboxes, then we can't be successful at this.
It's funny how this explains the Q score for those of you who are asking. It's like it dates back to like the 60s. I didn't know that part.
Yeah.
It said they asked basically when someone's polled, they're asked if it's one of your favorites, they're very good, fair, poor, or never heard of. And then it's sort of like a formula that calculates, being favorites versus known and those kinds of things. And you can have a subtraction variable for being disliked. And this got a little bit of, I think maybe that's where you're going with this. Obviously, it got a little bit of PR because Amber Heard, I guess, has been moved to like almost dead last on that list.
She is dead last.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, it's all about biases and prejudice and Twitter comments and things like that. That's how we ended up with the Gina Carano thing. It had nothing to do with her Q score. It had to do with, we don't want her in the club. We can't stand to be around her. It's this alienate people who you politically can't tolerate being around.
That's right.
Stuff like that. And it's not a house that can stand it. Will continue to collapse on itself. So, and
the thing is to remember, don't ever forget these people treated you like this. Don't ever forget these people pointed their fingers at you and called you O's, Yahtzee, scum, said that you should be erased off the face of the earth. Let's get rid of these people and get them out of society. You don't deserve a job. You don't deserve a career. You don't deserve to be happy. You don't deserve to own a home. You don't deserve any of these things because you're this. Never forget these fucking people treated you like this, including Disney, because Disney's the worst offender.
and but that wasn't public in the past. Like a lot of this stuff would happen behind the scenes, and the exclusion would just be you wouldn't be invited to the parties and those kinds of things. But now this stuff is public. It's literally designed to basically just strip away and dehumanize you and ruin your financial ability to take care of your family and have a career. But the idea that they would alienate, people that are political opponents or didn't vote there, that stuff's happened for years. Also, like the prude thing, like there really is sort of like if you're not into all the freaky deaky, kinky stuff that some of these people are into, you're excluded in that way too. Like it's almost like you're judging them by not wanting to be a part of it all. So unless they have the GF money, it is very, very, very complicated and screwed up. So we'll see how it all plays out. And man, I wish that comment was true.
Yeah.
I wish it were true, brother. I wish it was true. It is not,
Damn
but
straight.
I wish it was. Yeah, it is, man. It is. That is good. So sequels, and more sequels. Yeah.
So what do you got coming up? What do you got coming up that you can tell us about?
Tonight I have Thomas Stinger. His Twitter handle is Roger Writer. He is co-wrote. He's the writer and creator of this Indiegogo comic book with Ginger Ninja as the artist. I did an interview with Ginger Ninja. We promoted it, got him on as the writer tonight at 5:30 Eastern time. So we're talking about that comic book. So that'll be fun. Yeah, if you thought She-Hulk was bad, wait till you hear my take and analysis on what they decided to do, and you feel like you are in. They took Clown World to a different level with what they did with that show and how it ended. I'm still sort of like to do this after that. I just felt like I was in like a little shell shock mode. So that'll come out here in a couple hours. Actually, less than that. It's at 10:15, I guess. I lose track of time sometimes. No, I did a little video on Ella Bloodstone, this character in Werewolf by Night, because people have been all over the map on this show. And really, I don't think some folks are picking up on the elements of the wokeness and the transformation and some of that kind of stuff. So I may even do more on that because I think some things are really off on that. So yeah, lots of videos, different things. Talk Hard next week. Sleepy Hollows next week, right? Talk Hard, Sleepy Hollow. That'll be fun. Talk Hard Crow the week after. That'll be fun. And then 2 weeks from yesterday, the 26th, instead of having a Pops Talk, I'm going to do a celebratory 1,500 sub type thing.
Nice.
Memberships are live. Got memberships going yesterday. I've been blessed with the first couple members, and it's been a crazy ride, my brother. You've been part of that, and I couldn't appreciate it more. It's crazy. Yeah, I love it. Love doing it. Love just hanging out and doing this stuff. So been great.
You put the work in. You work hard, and good things happen.
I don't even, and when it's not work, because I don't know that I consider it. The work is trying to just organize the time to keep going. You know what I mean? It's like try to balance that out. The logistics of doing the work part is just, it is what it is. And thanks to folks that have been so helpful and gracious with their time to help me, because I have tried to adapt and learn to new little techniques and things like that. And hail to Chris Persia, who helped me out so personally, especially in the middle of this hurricane nonsense I was dealing with. And thank you, my friend. Work hard, talk harder. Well, I try. I don't want anybody to outwork me. I'm going to do my work. I may be old, but I'm going to do my thing. So yeah.
Oh yes.
We're talking about pretending picture books. So, what can I say? Yeah. My dad was teasing me because it's like, no matter how much I clean up, I always ended. So I have like all these comic books right here on the desk sitting here. I have this. Yeah, it's like it just never stops. I was like, well, of course it's not going to stop. There's always another one that needs to be read and discussed or whatever. So,
oh yeah.
There's
always more. Guys, thank you so much, Pops, for being here today. Hell Valhalla. Thank you all out in the chat for hanging around and listening to us go on and on about sequels. We will be back later tonight with Adega Outlaw for 7 Kinds of Mischief. We will be back tomorrow for the last, God help us. Thank you, Lord, for letting it end, Rings of Power review.
Yeah, Lord help you.
The last one, God help us. It's over. Because I'm not going to do another season. This will be the last one. This will be the last time you're going to hear me talk about Wings of Power. At least from a reviewer standpoint. If they come out and do something absolutely moronic, even more stupid than they already have done, sure, I'll bring it up. But I'm done covering it as of tomorrow. And then we're going to have the Late Show with Mexican Iron Man tomorrow night. So the last late show before ValhallaCon. I'm going to try and do a late show live next week, Friday night, while we are at the arcade bar at Free Play in Arlington. But guys, thank you again for being here.
Yes,
you guys have been an absolutely excellent audience. Take care. Be excellent to each other. Always speak friend enter. We'll catch you guys on the next Talk Hard. Oh, not Talk Hard. Thursday,
not Talk Hard.
Thursday. Take care, everybody.
See you guys.
These videos are tremendous. Like, comment, and subscribe, and hammer that notification bell.